God and all that is holy. Greetings, warlocks, hunters, titans, and all the ships at sea. It is time once again for Happy Hour from the Tower, and I am your host, T. Morris.
This is great. Anyone want a hug? No hugs.
There are always hugs to be given out on this program. And sitting over to my left,
Nick Kelly.
Your victory, no matter the method, is a Vanguard victory. You have our thanks.
we are so thankful to be here right now. And sitting across from us,
You are near the remains of my reactor core. Welcome to the Exodus Black, where all your dreams come true.
and as you can see if you're watching the stream, we have a very special guest. Special guest, sign on in.
Hey, I'm Steve Saylor, aka the Blind Gamer. Hi.
Oh, is that really all you got?
The sound may be a little off here and there. We're right now. I'm just thankful that we're up. I'm thankful that we're running.
Took us about 43 minutes.
43 minutes. Yeah, I think we're out of practice, guys.
Holy crap.
I know we are out of practice. So, hi
It's been
everybody.
like 2 months since we recorded, right?
I think it is. I think
Yeah.
it has been a whopping 2 months since we have been doing this this wonderful world of streaming. We've still had shows going out at least this month. I take full responsibility. I had this thing on my plate called Twitch for Dummies. The bell is over there somewhere, I think, and I don't care. Hey, bell's here. Damn. Hey. It's tough enough that you're sitting on the side of where I usually game.
It's a paradise.
You like the setup, do you?
Why don't you just start it? I can play for you right now.
I bet you could. So guys, how you been? It has been a long time since we've been in the studio, obviously.
Yeah, it certainly feels like it. I don't think we've recorded since I started middle school.
Middle school?
Yeah.
Middle school?
That was purposeful. I know.
Okay. I wasn't sure about that. All right, so we
Yeah, because Brandon's voice dropped about a couple of octaves since then.
yeah. Yeah, the last time we recorded in the studio, Brandon was like, "Hey everybody, this is great." And I was like, "Hi everyone, how you doing? Let's play Destiny."
It's that choir training.
Exactly. Brandon is a tenor, of course. So Steve
Hi.
Saylor, welcome to the tower. Welcome to Happy Hour. Tell us.
Not
tell
on
us,
a Tuesday.
What?
Not on
on
a
a
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Not on a Tuesday, exactly.
I mean, it's almost turned into the Faulty Towers, but I mean,
Hey, no kidding.
I'm just glad to be here nonetheless.
We're all glad to be here. We're all glad to be heard.
The Cathcart Towers.
For once.
So Steve, real quick, just tell us who you are and what do you do. Just give us the rundown on the Blind Gamer.
Okay. Like you said, I'm the Blind Gamer. I do a series on YouTube where essentially I suck at video games, and let's just say that. Reason being is that I am legally blind. I have a condition called nystagmus, which means that my eyes move back and forth involuntarily and makes everything really blurry. For those who kind of know sort of how, like the 20/20 vision works, if you're looking at something that's 20 feet away, if you have 20/20 vision, that means that to you it's 20 feet away. For me, my vision's 2200, which means that I'm looking at something that's 20 feet away. To me, it looks like it's 200 feet away. So suffice it to say, I've always sucked at video games ever since I was a kid. And I thought a couple years ago, back in the beginning of 2015, that I wanted to kind of at least prove to my friends that I suck at video games, because it's more entertaining to watch me fail than it is for me to do well. So
That's a trend on Twitch. I'm finding, isn't it? That's a trend on Twitch.
I think it might have started with your stream.
Might have been.
Yeah, it could have been.
Bad aim, good stream.
Well,
So I just did that for entertainment purposes, and then it just sort of kind of caught on. Like I started getting like a few subscribers, including like at one point I got like 1,000 subscribers within like 24 hours. After,
Wow.
Like, some YouTuber in Greece was like, "I like this guy's stuff," and he put up a video that was like, I couldn't understand it because it was all Greek to me, literally.
Bada bing.
But he said basically to his channel of like 40,000 subscribers, basically go to his channel and subscribe and give him some love. And I got 1,000 subscribers in 24 hours. So I was like, oh, maybe this is the thing I should probably be doing for a little bit more than just for entertainment purposes. So ever since then, I've been doing that. And then now I'm actually in I consult with video game developers to help build accessibility
cool.
within their
Which we're
game.
going to be talking about. Which we're going to
Yeah.
be talking
Do you
about.
know? Do you know how Steve pays for all his stuff?
Do what?
Do you know how Steve pays for all his stuff?
I can't wait to hear this one.
The
What?
Empire cloned him and make stormtroopers out of him.
There you
That's
go.
how-
he is whiter than white, isn't he? I mean,
Oh, I
I
was
feel,
talking about the aim, but okay, if you
I-
want to go with the
I-
albino
I-
jokes, we
I
can do that
actually-
too.
I feel like a white guy. Then I stand next to Steve and say, "Well, I don't feel so bad now." I actually feel ethnic next to Steve. But,
Hey, I'm just saying I'm more of a minority than all y'all.
yeah.
So.
Well, now here's the thing about Steve. So here's one of my favorite stories about Steve and his blindness. And this is a visual gag. So if you're on Twitch, you're going to see this. You can watch it in the replay. But if you're listening on the podcast, I recommend that you
Come
look
watch
at the
us over
feed.
on Twitch.
Or you can watch us on Twitch. But here's what happened. So Steve is hanging out with me and Pip at Dragon Con. And he was we were talking about Steve says like, yeah, it'd be nice if I could have a drink or something like that. And he's saying that as he's leaning against our bar. Our bar has like 8 or 10 different hard liquors. There was at least 5 different scotches, and Steve is just standing in front of them, leaning against the bar, going, yeah, I could really go for a drink right now. And Pip and I just kind of grinned and went, Steve, turn around, and I'm gonna mimic for you his reaction. He just went, whoa. I mean, I've never seen somebody jump that high in reaction to alcohol. And I was like,
You guys introduced me to Scotch that night, and I
Yes,
have you
we
to thank
did.
because I love Scotch now. It's been pretty much it's funny because any event I go to, like whether for my day job or whichever, and it's like open bar, I'm always ordering a Scotch because nothing is better than free Scotch.
that is true. That even the blended stuff is good free.
There's a bumper sticker in the making right there. Nothing is better than free Scotch.
Well, we're going to talk about the next time because at one point I would say, well, it'll be a while, but I will wait to have a fine Scotch with my friend Steve. But the good news is, and we're going to save it for the end of the show, that time will be sooner than later, and we'll just leave it at that, chat. We will leave it at that. So
Suspense.
So we are actually here to talk about specifically how do you game now. And I'll kick off with the first question. So Steve, when you are when you're doing this, when you are gaming and you are blind, and you're seeing things at 200 feet versus when you're 20 feet away, how do you do this? I mean, you are legally blind, but you're not like Stevie Wonder blind where you can't see a thing, right? I mean, how does this work? for you?
Correct. Yeah. So that's the common kind of misnomer for blind people is that generally 9 out of 10 people who are blind can still see to a certain degree. It's very rare that someone is like a Stevie Wonder or like a Ray Charles where they can't see anything. I am at the end of like the legally blind where I can still get around without a guide dog or without a cane, but it just basically means that I kind of live in sort of like this weird telephoto kind of life where if you're looking at through binoculars, you're looking at it just fine, but I'm looking at it through the other end. But how I game essentially is I generally have to be pretty close to anything in order to be able to basically see. So I actually have it's literally, if you're on Twitch, you can kind of see like where I'm pointing off to the side. I have a big 47-inch TV that I'm sitting like less than 1 to 2 feet away, and I'm pretty much like as close as that in order
And
to be able
that's
to
your monitor.
see.
That's your monitor.
That's my monitor.
Is a 47-inch television
So you
screen.
guys have that in common.
It's not about size. It's not about size.
Hey, for me, I will say this: size always matters. The bigger, the better.
That's what she said.
See,
There it is.
That's what she said.
the only difference is it helps Steve's aim.
Oh yeah. Now okay. Now I gotta say, for a blind guy, when we're doing Titan Tuesday, the blind, and we're gonna talk about the blind leading the blind.
I
But
hope
when
so.
he outshoots me, I go, I cannot believe this is effing happening to me.
I mean, here's the thing: whenever I'm playing with T, or basically playing games in general, it's literally a win-win scenario for me. If I win, it's pretty good for a blind guy. If I lose, it's still pretty good for a blind guy.
We did a fundraiser with the DC Roller Girls one time, and one of the things they bring in an arm wrestling table, right? Because it's the same thing. If you win, oh, big deal, you beat a girl.
Yeah.
If you lose,
Yeah.
you got beat by a girl, right?
Yeah,
It's so-
So when did you start? When did you start this, Steve? The whole blind gamer persona. When did that really start up for you?
It started in the beginning of February 2015. I had given up on gaming pretty much kind of altogether. I played when I was a kid. Like I loved having my Nintendo system and then my Super Nintendo, and then we jumped to the PlayStation 2. But I really sucked at it, but I would just enjoy watching my brother play, and I was literally just sit on the couch and just kind of watch him play video games. Actually, funny story is that when my mom got the Nintendo system for us, she actually, I still this day wish that she actually was. Oops, sorry, I hit the mic. I wish that she was still a gamer today, because she actually beat Super Mario before my brother and I did. And
Damn.
I know,
Damn.
and I would love just watching her play it, because I was like, oh, that's how you do the thing, and it would help me out. But then I just kind of got to the point where it's like I can't play anymore. And what really kind of solidified for me was in early 2000s, like when Halo came out. I would play with my brother and his best friend. We would play like in multiplayer match, and I sucked so bad that I had died literally 50 times, and I had 1 kill. And I got so mad, I pretty much rage quit, and I was like, "That's it. I'm not playing video games anymore." And I basically just kind of like I played a little bit, like kind of here and there. Like maybe I think I had like an Xbox 360, and I played like 1 or 2 games, but it was just a majority of the games that were kind of out were just games that I just couldn't enjoy because I couldn't play them properly or couldn't see. So I was like, I kind of like thought, okay, I'm at the point now where I know I'm not going to be able to quit when I'm playing a game, at least out of anger. I could play and be able to laugh at myself of how bad I am. So I hit up a few of my friends. They actually own a magazine, which is basically comics and gaming magazine, or I think it's cgmmagazine.com, or just look for comics and gaming magazine. I was waiting for the bell. And so they literally had everything that I needed to be able to capture. They had I had no consoles either. So they had all the consoles, they had all the capture equipment. And if you look back at my very first video, which was Blind Gamer plays Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that was the first episode I did. And the TV was actually like 10 feet away from me.
Wow.
It was like,
Okay.
yeah, it was like I couldn't even read any text, let alone see anything that was there. So, but they kind of gave me my start. They helped me kind of produce quite a few of my videos. I was the one who able to edit them. And then about February 2015, that's when I kind of like started uploading that as a series, and been doing it ever since. And now I kind of like I'm sitting with in my studio in my apartment where I've got a green screen, I've got like a big TV, I've got all the modern consoles.
You got the Halo poster in the back to remember remember your roots.
Exactly. So it just like it's kind of neat that I get to do this. Like I'm not doing it as a full-time job right now, but I mean, give it a couple of years, I could probably see myself like, yeah, this is what I would be doing for a living.
All right, so let's before we shift gears to Blind Leading the Blind, I know the guys have some questions for you too. So Brandon, you got something to kick it off with?
They're Destiny based.
Yes, good. Okay,
Sure.
Because I know you're going to be nerding out with Steve in the latter half of the show about another game. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Oh, yeah.
But okay. So but then Nick, did you have another generic question about blind gaming, or do we want to jump into Destiny?
So, just for the 2 sort of clarifying questions, Steve.
Mm-hmm. Sure, go ahead.
One, have you always had the level of blindness that you have now? And 2, when you're playing, do you get fatigued?
Oh, that's a good. Yeah, that's really good. Okay, yeah.
Actually, yeah, that's a great question. Yes, I've always been blind since birth. That's kind of a sort of an added thing of being having albinism. So generally, if you have albinism, you usually have like vision, low vision issues, and so I've had that pretty much since birth. So I don't know what normal vision is like. And actually, some people even ask me, it's like, do you like miss having actual normal vision? I'm like, well, I don't miss what I didn't have. So, so to me, this is my normal, and I'm like, I used to be like. I used to hate it, but now it's kind of like I'm just like I just accept it and adapt to what I have. And I do get a bit of fatigue if I'm playing for more than a couple hours. It's mostly when I can start to notice it when I'm starting to like really, really suck even more when I'm trying to play a game, and I just start getting really frustrated because I can tell I'm not able to react fast enough, and my reaction time is getting worse. And so, but if I kept going, essentially, then my eyes was kind of start to get tired, and then actually they would start to water, and it just like I generally would need to kind of like lay down, and sometimes migraines can kind of sit in. But that's like I haven't got to that point in years. Like I remember in college when I used to have to do a whole bunch of assignments, and that was rough for a couple of years.
Keep playing with T. You'll get there.
Well, ironically, that's the ironic part. The ironic part is that happens to me. I will be playing Destiny. I'll be getting into it so badly, and then something like, "Why am I crying? Oh wait, I have forgotten to blink," and my eyes start watering.
I watched him do that on stream too. I just start putting in chat. T blink, T blink,
T blink for the love of God, blink.
It's like you have your command for reload.
Yeah.
You need one that's just command blink.
Blink.
Command blink.
And the message.
I mean, but you are doing what the doctor told you not to
I
do.
did.
So you're
that should be
technically
the
following orders.
message. The message should be screw the doctor, blink for the love of God, T blink. So anyway, real quick, we are streaming this live on Twitch. So if anybody has any questions for Steve about how he games blind and things like that, by all means, drop a question in chat. I'm keeping an eye on chat. Drafty, thank you for the 1,000 biddies. Do appreciate it. All right, so let's talk about the blind leading the blind. Let's talk about this genesis. What started this? And I'll just softball to Steve. Go on ahead and tell the story about how this whole thing came about.
Well, I've been as some of you may know, like I've been friends with T for a long time. So it was
over a decade.
Yeah, I was.
I mean, when did you start
10 years.
podcasting? Shoot, I'm blanking on it.
End of 2007.
End of 2007, and it was. What was the name of the book you were podcasting? I'm trying to remember.
Black Shadow.
Black Shadow. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man,
Not an original name.
2007. Jeez, we've been at this for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Steve and I go way back.
Now I'm just picturing the White Shadow, like the old 70s TV show with the basketball coach. Now I'm picturing that podcast.
Finally, somebody actually knows that reference.
Chico Steve.
Yeah,
I am here for you.
Hey, I still remember the theme.
Well, in all fairness, that's every show from the 70s.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm trying to remember the actor who played the White Shadow.
Nobody needs to know that.
No. He played Thomas Jefferson in the musical 1776. I kid you not. The guy's got a beautiful... Ken Howard! Oh! Ken Howard.
Oh, wow.
Ken Howard.
That's
a reach.
That's a pull and a half.
That's a pull and a
Proud
half.
moment on the Twitch stream. To remember Ken Howard.
From the White Shadow, man.
Right.
The White
Proud moment on
Shadow.
the Twitch
Up
stream.
next, he's going to
Remember
remember
anyway.
the guy who played Epstein on Welcome Back, Kotter. So,
All right. So Steve, we go back a ways. We go back a ways.
So, of course, I've been kind of following along with your adventures in Destiny, and I would have loved to have been able to say that I was able to follow the podcast, but I had no idea what the hell you guys were talking about. So it's just like,
It's okay. We don't have any idea what the hell we're talking about either.
going around.
So I once when Destiny 2 kind of came out as a free game on PS Plus, I think it was September.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
'Cause it
So
was right
Destiny,
after
like I
Bethesda's
was like,
launch. Sorry.
yeah. So essentially, like, I was like, all right, yeah, I'll download it. That's fine. And then I was like, okay, but I don't want. I want to do a video edit for on Blind Gamer, but I didn't want to just. Like I wanted to do something extra, and I wanted to kind of start like experimenting with streaming on Twitch. And so I was like, who do I know that is the kind of like out of my friends that is like the biggest Destiny fan? And T was the first person that came to mind. And so I reached out to him. I was like, hey, would you be interested in maybe kind of like helping me or like backpacking me across Destiny? And because I think it'd be kind of fun.
And that was
if you
when
just kinda leave me
I
alone.
replied. I replied, you want me
Yeah.
to be your guide, your ghost, your little light. Are you kidding? Dude, that's the blind leading the blind. That's when Steve said, that's what we'll call it. We'll call it the blind leading the blind. He had graphics made up, man. Within 24 hours, I had graphics. I had a little Instagram social thing I could spread. I was like, wow, he's really serious. Then he actually got the URL blind. I think it's blindleadstheblind.online. Is that it?
That's right. Yep.
So, and what that does is that actually is the that takes you, if I remember correctly, it takes you to the URL for the multi that Steve and I
That's
do
correct, yeah.
together.
That makes sense.
And so originally my Titan Tuesday was going to be me working through Forsaken.
It was.
It was. then this dropped in my lap, and I said, "Oh, I can't say no to this. I cannot say no to this." And it's been, and then Brandon kind of got roped into this.
Like you were in
That's
the
'cause
middle of a stream.
Two of you are never gonna get anywhere with it. Like you.
That's true.
Steve basically said, "Here's the deal. I need a Sherpa, but I need a Sherpa who can't read a map. That would be great if you could get me one of those."
And that's what you got.
Which is why, yeah. And then you get Brandon, and Brandon's like, "Yes, not only can I can backpack both of you."
Yeah. No, but like you were in the middle of the first stream with him, I think, and I just messaged
Yeah.
like, "Yo, you got room for one more?" And you're like,
Yeah.
"Of course, yes."
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Come on in, because I could just tell already within the first few minutes. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a blast."
Oh yeah.
And,
And then we all hit it off. So.
Yeah. So we were literally the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
And so when I was
I'm just
telling
the one who racks up the most kills.
right, and then I was telling Steve that I was looking at different like different keywords you can put in through Twitch, and one of them was blind playthrough, and I said, "Well, that's very appropriate."
go.
And so
I don't
now
think
we
you know what
have
that means, but okay.
so now we call it the blind leading the blind. We put the blind in blind playthrough, and
I hate that. That's funny.
Okay. I was going earlier with we put the T in fatigue, but okay, we'll just leave that too.
there's that too. Oh man, so Brandon, you had a Destiny related question for Steve.
We have a list of them.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
We'll go.
Yes.
We'll go.
The one
I
thing-
have talked.
The
I
one
have
thing
talked.
that I
no.
bring to this podcast, other than interview,
I'm being interrogated. Hold on.
Yeah,
Let
you
me
are.
get my,
Brace yourself. Brace
Let
yourself.
me get
Oh,
my
wait.
interrogation pants on.
Hang on a minute. I do have. I think I do have a.
you have pants.
I did
Nick,
have
would you
Good
like
Luck
to know?
Guardian up here somewhere.
The
Here you go. Hold on a second.
Good luck, Guardian.
There we go. Okay, now
It's our first question. So
here you go, Steve.
do
You're
you have,
up.
Do you have gaming pants? No.
Yeah, yes, I do.
That's a cat.
That's Benedict.
Yeah, that's Benedict.
That's my ghost.
All right, that's his ghost.
Yeah.
That's his ghost. All right, so apart from gaming pants, any other questions?
So, Steve, have you enjoyed Destiny 2?
I think I enjoy it more when I get to play with you guys. Because
glad
if
to
I tried to do this alone, I probably would have sucked and basically would not have gotten even off of Titan, let alone Earth. So I actually do like it quite a bit.
I honestly, it goes back to something we have said since Destiny 1 is it's the social aspect of the game
That brings us back.
that always brings people back.
Yeah.
I really believe that. And
Future topic for a podcast because I stole that from Headshots.
There-
Definitely
well,
going to talk about that.
That's true. That's true. That's headshotspodcast.com. Anyway, so yeah, it has been now. Actually, no, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna sit on my question a little while longer. Keep going, guys. Whatever questions you you have.
So, Steve, since you've already described yourselves as being lousy at video games, my question for you is, why did you handicap yourself further by playing a warlock?
Welcome,
okay.
welcome to
So-
this. Okay, the Steve. I don't know if I prepared you for this for the culture of Destiny, but there are there's a lot of race wars going on here. Warlock, Hunter, Titan. It's borderline ridiculous.
So I've gathered.
Why did you choose a warlock though? That is good. Not that wasn't a poor choice, Master Race. Why did you choose a warlock?
Well, it was a twofold. So when T and I were kind of prepping this, I hadn't actually created a character yet, and I was sort of like going back and forth of what I wanted to do. And I looked a bunch of tutorials and some stuff online as far as like what the classes did, and I saw that like Hunter would have been cool for me,
The best
but
choice?
I don't. For my own particular brand of gameplay, I don't think I would have done well in that. And normally a Titan would have been something that I would have just chosen because you get to be a tank and that's about it. But when I saw Warlock, that you kind of get the combination of the magic side, which kind of goes to my fantasy Dungeons and Dragons sort of like a nerdy thing, and then also like just kind of the cool like super stuff you get to do. Like it was just all that kind of combined was like it kind of I gravitated towards.
Space magic.
And then when but what really sold it for me was like, okay, this is 100% what I wanted to do. Was when I saw the essentially the glide jump that warlocks get.
Yes.
And honestly, and this is actually, and this is what I call from game developers an accidental accessibility tool, because the glide jump allows me to be a little bit more precise of where I want to jump, and it gives me enough time to be able to do it without making any mistakes. Because
And I'll
I
be
can
the first one.
see
Bro,
where
I
I'm
can
gonna
see.
go.
I can see it in both these effers' eyes. Yes, he is a better jumper than me. So F both of you.
Yeah.
F both of you.
Dear Bungie, please, 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 can we have T and Steve in Sparrow Racing League?
Please.
Done. Let's do it.
That's what I want.
Let's go for it. Now, honestly, the
I
funny
think
thing
personally-
about that though. Well, go for it.
I think personally, he chose Warlock because the ratio of melee range correlates exactly to his eyesight.
That's a possibility too.
Yeah. Pretty much. It allows me to kind of be a little bit further back.
No, I
so
mean,
I don't have to get
because
super
Titan and
close.
Hunter range is 20 feet, and Warlock is 200.
That's true. That's true. Master race.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I would also say though, but the thing is that
Precision. Who needs precision?
who needs precision?
Titans.
But anyway, I do find it funny because it's you hear it across so many different streams how many people hate the warlock
That's
jump.
because the Hunters are the best.
Lulu, F off. Lulu, Zach, all of them, they're just like, man, I hate the warlock jump. And yet that was the selling point
For Steve.
for Steve, which I think is brilliant. And the weird thing though about the warlock jump,
So it's useless if you can see.
yeah, pretty much. All right,
Warlocks are most definitely the middle child. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the very
fair
special,
enough.
very
God.
special little brother, but you know.
I'm a warlock. Okay, we're not going down that rabbit hole. We're not going down the rabbit hole. All right, next.
I feel like I'm back in high school, and it's like everyone like you play cleric because clerics suck. I'm like, but the cleric, you get to heal people and you get to do some divine stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, that's when the Titans and when these two effers are like really good. You're going, hey yo T, throw a rift. I'm like, I might.
Yeah,
I might.
We don't
you have
say-
all the
remember the
power at
button.
that point.
I
yeah.
might.
We don't say anything bad about clerics based on the fact that
Yeah,
my
yeah.
wife, Brandon's mom,
Yeah.
is our cleric in our D&D campaign.
Yes.
We never say
Oh.
anything
Oh, man,
about
You
and-
can only throw a riff when you remember the button. For
No,
it.
I got the button down.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. I do, man. Don't you back off. You
You
back
just
off, blue
forget that
hair.
it exists.
I will say this: I've
I
gotten
just,
better.
I know I've heard you say before. Hey T, throw a rift. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. You
I've
need a
gotten
rift.
bet-
Oh, you
for
need
me,
a rift
I've-
now, do you? Oh, you need a rift now. Now suddenly I'm the most important person in the fire team. Oh, I see how it goes. Anyway,
For me, I've gotten better at learning how to be able to remembering to use Rift, but now I just got to figure out how to best placement of where to put
placement,
the Rift so that
timing.
I'm-
It can be a real pain in the ass. And the worst one, although I will own up to this. The worst one is when I'm throwing a rift and people are like, and I'm like, why am I not healing anybody? Why am I not healing myself? What's going on? And then I realized, oh crap, I was running with Lulu and I was on a raid and she wanted me to use the empowering rift. So bad news, I wasn't healing. Good news, the ads were just going. They were going down left and right. So it's kind of a mixed bag. We haven't talked about empowering rifts yet, though, my friend. So we'll get to that another time.
Cool.
Stick to the healing.
next question, guys. Next question.
Go for it.
Oh, so how far are you guys in the storyline right now?
How far? Oh,
Should be right before
Are you?
Almighty.
Wait a minute.
we're getting ready to go on the Almighty.
Oh,
That's right.
I just figured something out,
What?
dude. What does Ashamir say to Steve? Because Steve can't be staring at his arm.
I think you said. I think you said something like, "You're staring at my arm," and I think Steve said like, "No, I'm not.
I'm blind.
I'm blind. What are you talking about?"
What's
Steve's just looking the other way.
Yeah, right. What's the? What's
I'm looking at who, what, where, and the what now.
exactly. What's some of your favorite things about the storyline so far that you guys have hit? You already said Titan, so we know that that's awesome. But aside from that,
What's one thing I like about the storyline?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
yeah, anything?
I like the camaraderie between Cade and wow, I'm blanking on the names. Ikora
Ikora.
and
and Zavala.
yeah,
Oh.
and Zavala. Yeah, the three of them. Like I love the conversations between the three of them. and also like I mean, I've always liked the idea of just kind of like you're like the last sort of beacon of hope, and it just I don't know, it just makes me feel empowered because a lot of times like there's like I'm usually kind of like as a personally, and I'm not gonna I apologize for kind of bringing down the mood, but it's there are times I'm not able to do that in real life. I'm not able to kind of like I'm usually have other people kind of carrying me around essentially or helping me out, and it kind of feels awesome that people are relying on me because I have this ultimate kind of power from the light, and I'm being the kind of the last guardian. It just kind of it hits that sort of like core spot of me that's what I relate to, and having that kind of ability just makes me feel in a way normal, and I get to be a part of something that is greater than just myself.
So when you start the story mode, you don't have that, right? You don't have your light. That's one of the big things. And that was coming out of D1 where you're like, oh, now I have nothing. And so when you first get that, when you first like get guardianed, like, do you remember like what that feeling was when you finally got through the prison break beginning story mode?
Well, I like basically when I got kicked off the ship.
Yep.
That actually like that hurt quite a bit.
I agree.
I remember. I remember
Because-
when we went through when you go through that. I mean, I was recently while Steve has been going through his adventure on the PS4, I've been reliving the adventure on a PC. So I had to go through that adventure again, and man, it is pretty devastating. It is pretty devastating when you go through that opening mission.
It's the art imitates life imitates art, right? Because the first time we went through that whole thing where you're creeping around and you're trying not to get caught and everything,
Yeah.
it's like it's a little bit of a panicky kind of thing. And then we had a very similar type of story in Detroit.
Oh,
when you have to put yourself back together.
Yeah, oh my god!
And
oh
then-
my god!
And now
Detroit
you go
Become
back.
Human.
Now you go back and do the prison, the initial story in the Red War again, and it's which one do you like? Which one's more terrifying of a memory? Right? Is
Yeah.
it the Detroit? These hands are crawling for my face, or is it the?
Oh,
Or is it the?
it's a different.
initial?
It's a different kind of terror. And that's actually one game that Steve hasn't tackled yet is Detroit Become Human, but we have talked about
It's a cool
it.
game.
Very cool game. But hey, honestly, when we get back from break, we're going to talk a little bit more about all the Destiny fun we've been having. We're going to talk a little bit about another game that Steve and Brandon have a shared love with. All that coming up right after this break. And we're clear.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes.
Nice
Happy
first
hour
half,
from the
guys.
tower.
Nice first half. Okay, so we got Munch in the house.
Munch.
How you doing, Munch? Munchy. We also got Unicorn. Thank you, Unicorn, for sticking around. And we also have Drafty hanging out. Thank you guys very much.
Awesome.
You're watching Happy Hour from the Tower. We had a bit of a technical difficulty. Thank you, audio.
Right.
Thank you, Brandon, for all your help. We don't know what we did to fix it, but we got it.
Press the button.
It only it cost us world's first.
Yeah. Real quick, everybody. Got
Didn't
it.
that raid launch?
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
Hour and
Oh.
45 minutes
Yeah.
for first. Yeah, we'll talk about it in
Wow,
a
okay.
bit when we're talking about what's new and current.
Yeah, when we
I
do
know,
different.
different.
But real quick, I think it's So when you
Steve's awesome.
when you listen to the
he
to
is.
the podcast, you will hear about these guys. You'll notice that we're actually wearing some of the stuff from them.
He just puts up the link to our podcast.
No. I actually put up the link for the sponsor. Hang on a second,
you know
because you got that one, but I got this one. So it's Strip Cam. Everybody, hold on.
Oh,
Oh boy.
Yeah, hang on.
Cover your eyes.
bow chicka wow wow. Giggity.
It's a good thing I can't see.
We're jealous of you right now, Steve. Nice. There it
I got
is.
this one. I
That's
got this one
awesome.
right here. I love this one.
I have a big fat thank you to Brandon for getting me the
Spoilers.
Ace of Spades.
Oh yeah. Congratulations on that. I ordered.
I love that
I
gun.
spent
I-
a whole afternoon in strikes because you didn't complete that step yet.
I did the gambit part.
The stuff that Brandon and I were wearing, the I'm coming home Ace hoodie, the cage shot first shirt, all this stuff is available
And
at
my hat.
Hangry Gamer Gear. Oh, and your hat, yes, thank you, and the hat. We're sponsored by Hangry Gamer Gear, and if you use Happy Hour at checkout, you get 15% off. Remember, it is Christmas. And they don't just have games from. They don't have just Destiny. They've got Fortnite. They got Overwatch. They've got BioShock.
Fallout.
I actually ordered for myself. I ordered a. I think it's a forest green hoodie. It says the only thing that scares him is an itch, and it's Big Daddy.
That's awesome.
Because I had to get that one. I had to get, and they've been actually talking. Hangry Gamer Gear has been talking to us. We have to get the artwork, the final artwork from TD0013.
Dang.
But he is making us a Happy Hour from the Tower. Logo slash, well, not even a logo. It's more like our own crest from the Age of Triumph. This was something that you missed, Steve, the Age of Triumph. And, but Steve, I cannot wait. I cannot wait until our next show, because by then the Dawning will have started. Steve, you are going to love the Dawning. Okay, I don't mind talking about this in the extra point.
Look at the other 3 pages of notes that are all
jeez.
about that.
So the Dawning, Steve. So
That's what
you know,
I do.
So you know what that is. The Dawning is basically Destiny's Festivus. It's part Hanukkah, it's part Christmas, it's part Kwanzaa. It's every holiday celebration just rolled up into one. But the gimmick that they introduced, and I know you're gonna love this. You're gonna be all over this. And I'm praying that they're bringing it back.
Is it the OP snowballs?
The OP snowballs.
Yes.
I'll never forget when we were all running and we got these giant snowballs and these Cabal are coming at us and we heard and we were like, I guess we'll just throw a snowball. So we threw a snowball and they stumbled. And we're like, did that just happen?
Yeah.
So then we picked up a second snowball, threw it, they went down.
Yeah.
And a couple
They're just wintry Nova bombs.
again, Warlocks, Master Race. But they're great. They're great for
played
that.
Mirage,
You're gonna love the Dawning. And also when you get to the tower, it's playing like pretty much. I'm not so. I would be surprised if they weren't like playing Band-Aid or Feliz Navidad or any of that stuff, because you're hearing this delightful little Christmas music in the background. It's nice.
Anything
I
but
dig
Wham.
Anything but Wham. Anything but Wham.
Yeah.
Steve missed the part.
Here's the
where-
thing. I work for a radio station. So I hear Wham! Last Christmas. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
now we can
Okay.
hear you.
Yeah. So like, I work for a radio station that plays classic hits. So hearing Wham! Last Christmas, I hear it almost on a daily basis.
So you're not playing
And I
Whamageddon.
can't-
You're not playing Whamageddon.
When you were
no, I can't. I literally can't.
when you were getting your Super Nintendo and all that stuff, I was working the video booth at Toys R Us, and Toys R Us radio during Christmas is awful. Basically 6 songs.
It's like the ice rink.
Yeah, my own thing is
Ice rink, yeah.
the
Baby
DJ
Shark. story
story that I know is that I hated Michael Bolton, but I loved him from a DJ perspective because I always knew I could put Michael Bolton on, right? And then if I needed to, I could go to the bathroom, because I would
Yep.
I would be listening to Michael Bolton being pumped in through the bathroom, and the minute I heard the key change, I'm like, I got exactly 1 minute, 1 minute before he ends the song, and then I got to be back in the booth. And so I would set my watch. Hey, Star Wars dude, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Long time no talk. Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us here tonight. You're watching Happy Hour from the Tower right now. We're taking a break in between segments. This is content that you don't get on the podcast when you subscribe. We're just riffing right now with Steve Saylor. So any questions or comments you have for Steve Saylor, go on ahead and drop them in the chat. I will take them during recordings. Don't worry, guys. I won't go too late.
It's apparently getting the snow is
Oh,
getting bad. Apparently.
oh, really? Is the
No,
snow
we're
getting-
fine.
No,
Okay.
because Mom just texted me and said, "Prod Dad to get home."
I know.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know.
Okay, then we'll get back into it. But
Remember,
just
your mom's from Virginia.
That's true.
I'm not, so yes.
there is that.
Fine.
There is
I
that.
know what snow does.
So meanwhile, but if
Oh,
you're curious as to who Steve is, real quick, I'm going to give you the CliffsNote version. If you've been watching the Tuesday night Titan Tuesday stream, you know that we've had different episodes called "The Blind Leading the Blind." We just finished part 5, and this week will be part 6. And what it is that Steve is legally blind, and I have been
And
his.
he shoots better than T.
And he shoots better than me. He jumps better than me.
He does a lot of things better.
He
than
does a lot of things better than me. But that's why we call it the blind leading the blind. Occasionally, the surly teenager will join us, and that
I've
makes it
been
even
there for
more
like
fun.
3 out of the 5 episodes.
3 out of the 5 episodes.
Something like that.
We can't get rid of you.
Yeah. You need me.
We do. We need you so badly, Brandon.
Let's see if they cancel school. You guys can do it in the night.
So yeah. So anyway,
Please.
So if you have questions for the blind gamer, go on ahead and drop them into chat. If you got questions about the stuff that we're going to be addressing in the latter half of the show,
Or just us.
or just us in general, you know all that. Real quick, I did want to say to chat,
And if you have questions as to why PlayStation is better than Xbox, let us know.
or why PC is better than PlayStation. Go ahead, yeah.
That's a debate and a half.
Yeah, isn't it though? That another time. But here's something real quick I wanted to let everybody know. For the regulars, for my chat, for the regulars to my chat, you know that I've been going through a job dynamic change. Nothing's bad. Everything's copacetic. I still have my job. Everything's good. What's changing is my availability in a good way. So starting tomorrow, I'm going to be returning to morning streams. But I'm still going to be doing my Titan Tuesday night, and I'm still going to be doing that. I might sneak in also a Monday night stream too, but I'm going to be shifting my schedule from evening streams to early morning streams again because my audience was there, Munch was there, a lot of people that I ran with were there, and you've got a very perplexed look on your face.
It's a big circle.
It is kind of a big circle, isn't it? It's weird because I started as a morning streamer.
Stop making me wake up.
Then there was an evening streamer. Now I'm the morning streamer again. So now I can basically do morning wake up shows kind of thing.
Well,
So
I mean, in a month and a half, you'll be back to night streams anyway. So
probably, yeah. Who knows? But anyway, wanted to give everybody a heads up on that schedule change is coming.
I also keep forgetting to join you on your PC stream.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do, young man. So does Ascendant Ben,
Oh,
who
boy.
who was the guy that was like, yeah, when are you going to get on PC? When you get on PC? But I'm running with Shav right now, and
It's 'cause
he's
you do it in the morning. So
yeah, he's a
can't afford
blast.
that.
He's a blast with.
Yeah.
All right, so are we all set for the second half?
May want to try to recruit Hogan from Geektitude because he doesn't have a console.
Oh.
So
I
I may
don't
want
blame
to
him.
try.
Oh wow.
PC
recruit him.
Master Race.
There we,
Then
so,
again,
I'm
never,
so-
if you're moving to mornings and he's on the West Coast, then it'd be like
that's
3
yeah,
a.m. So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
Not gonna work.
Well,
That's going
that's
to be
the
an
witching
issue.
hour. We'll be fine.
We'll figure out something. All right. So let's go ahead and bring this back in. Oh, so Steve, real quick, just so you know, how this works is and you don't need to worry about the timing of the music in the background. You just have to worry about coming in as the order goes. When we come back in from break, I go, we're back with the second half of Happy Hour from the Tower. I go, I'm T,
I'm Nick.
I'm Brandon.
and that's
I'm
when
Steve.
So you got it.
Just
you got
like
this.
that.
Yeah.
Just like that. Just like that.
Hey, I work in radio. This is
You
the
know
second
this. You know this. All right.
You know the voice.
You've got a face
ladies.
for radio, Steve.
base. Yes. I know. I do.
Here we go, everybody. And we are back with the second half of Happy Hour from the Tower. I'm T.
I'm Nick.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Steve.
There we go.
And I'm deaf.
And I'm sorry about that.
Sorry.
Still
No,
trying,
that wasn't you.
still trying to work through the audio issues. Man, the audio is killing me.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Audio is
Nice.
killing me tonight. Anyway, so
If Steve starts like mouthing and not actually saying anything, your head's gonna explode like Kingsman. He's gonna be like,
yeah. Well, remember Ron did that. He was like, "Well, I wanted to say," and I was like,
froze.
"Ron, oh you mother effer!" I was so pissed at him. So pissed at him.
I forgot about
Well, I mean,
that.
hi.
nice.
Thank you.
Steve is officially
Thank you, Steve.
qualified to work
Thank
the
you very
drive-through
much.
window.
Yep.
All right.
No, wait, rest of his training.
This ain't my
Steve,
first rodeo. Yes.
The ice cream machine is broken. That's your only other rule.
Jeez.
Right.
So, yeah, I
here
see.
to throw
I
the
see you,
youthful part
Munch.
into
I
this.
see
It's
you.
okay. He's good.
Asshat. Okay, so we were talking about
He's in-
Steve's first experiences in Destiny 2.
Right.
We are just so folks knows at the point of this recording, we are getting ready, I believe, to
Get on the
did-
Almighty.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because we took out Thanos. Not Thanos. Thanos. Thanos is from the Avengers. Sorry. Who's the dude that sounds like Thanos? I'm trying to remember.
Thumos?
Thumos!
Thumos. Yes.
Thumos, Thanos, get off my ass! I've got Thanos
In your
on the
defense,
brain
me,
now.
I probably would have confused that too.
Man.
Oh dear. Okay.
Oh my
So-
God, it's like Callus with the thunderclap.
Yeah. So, actually, I think Munch is just. I can see now Munch going. Thanos, good gold, man, good gold. So yeah. So we just took out Thumos, so that's where we're at. I think right now what we have to do next is, if I remember correctly, we steal the
Uma
ship.
Thurman.
Uma Thurman. We took out Uma Thurman. Good night, Munch. Thanks for joining us.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
next is
so
the
yeah.
I don't want to kill Bill.
So we kill Bill,
We shot his thermos.
and then we. And scene. And I think now the next mission we have to do is we have to get
Steal
the
the
ship.
ship,
We have
yep.
to steal the ship. Then
Yes.
I
And
can
it's the
see,
Almighty.
and that's going to be the fun. That's going to be a fun one because that's when Steve gets to experience the Almighty.
Yeah.
I cannot. Now his reactions have been
hate that mission.
childlike glee. I mean, he has just been enjoying some of this stuff way
It's
too
the
much.
Most fun thing to watch ever.
It's great. It's great, and so I
He
cannot
adds
wait
the-
to get
He
you.
adds the lackluster part of the Red War.
Yes. So, do you guys have other Destiny questions for him?
Yeah, absolutely.
for it.
Absolutely. So, voice talent. So let's go voice talent because that's my my sweet spot on this
Yep.
show. I love
That and lore.
Mhm.
That and lore.
and lore.
punching things.
I'm way behind on lore. Oh, I got a lore thing for the Ace of Spades last night. Like
Did you?
by last night I mean after the party in like 4 a.m. when I was playing.
There's one. You know the public event in Dreaming City where it's like you have to go into the Ascendant Realm and defend the orb thing?
Yep.
Yeah, there's one lore thing
in the Ascendant
realm. Yeah.
I think I knew that, but I don't think I've gotten it yet.
It's-
Maybe I did.
It's
I
like
guess
if you go straight forward, off to the left, it's hidden behind a rock.
This is all
It's-
Forsaken stuff,
Yeah.
guys. This is all Forsaken
Sorry,
stuff.
right.
Oh.
He's
we
giving you-
haven't broken Steve's spirit yet with Forsaken. So let's just
He's
no.
Brandon's just giving you
Well-
directions to the tangent that he and I just went off on.
Right,
Oh,
exactly, yeah.
So, anyway, so voice talent. Is there a particular character or a particular actor that jumps out at you in terms of who you've met so far?
human male. Sorry.
Matt
I mean, I'm just gonna go with. I know this can be like a trite answer, but I mean, anything that I get to hear Nathan Fillion and Gina Perez together, it tickles my Garam heart.
Yeah, I hear you,
so-
brother. I hear you. Keep flying, baby.
So,
Keep flying.
Yeah. So
All right,
those
so
two
you got your
are.
geek cred.
amazing.
That was good. We'll give you points for that one.
But
That
now,
was-
but I mean, you got to admit the voice talent in Destiny is pretty top notch. You've got Lance Reddick as
Toys on
as
me.
yes as Zavala, and I don't know if you recognize, and I can't remember if I told you this, but you know the in the cutscenes you've got Dominus Gall, you got the big boss, and then you got
Yeah.
his assistant Iago.
That's his name.
Yeah,
They never say that.
yeah.
It's in the book that we got for
I
buying
know.
this.
but I
Yeah.
just never knew.
Wait,
the name.
That's
Isn't
right.
Iago the-
I might have
isn't
effed
Iago
up
the-
Thanos, but I know freaking Iago. So you back
Wait,
off, young
isn't-
man.
isn't-
It's Trivago.
Isn't Iago the
That's
bird
not
from
Trivago.
Lion King?
What was that? No, Iago. I think Iago. No, it's also Iago from
Simba?
not just Lion King, but Shakespeare. I believe it's The Merchant of Venice, if I remember correctly. But anyway,
Right. You remember this scene from Little Nettie Goes to War?
exactly.
It's the
So,
Three Amigos. Since we're going
I
with
don't.
other,
I
other
know.
things
Go,
that rhyme
just
with
go for
Iago.
it.
We might go amigo.
No, I can't remember if I told you this or not, Steve. But the guy who voices Iago is Frank Langella, the esteemed actor
Yes,
Frank
I
Langella.
do remember that. Yeah.
And
Excellent story about Frank Langella on
oh,
our
yeah.
last episode with voice director Kevin McMullen.
Kevin McMullen. I think you would dig that episode because he's also got that gravitas voice that you got there, Steve. So
Totally.
And a
so yeah,
Monty Beard.
Good. Yeah, great voice talent. Just great voice
Like
talent
every
across the
Greek
board.
leader.
You guys already got to Nessus, right?
Oh yeah, we got Nanessus. Oh, and yes, you should have heard him cackle when Failsafe
Failsafe?
introduced
I was there
herself.
for that. The first time he heard failsafe, it was
Yeah.
the best.
Joy Osmansky, baby. We got to get her back on the show just for fun. Anyway, all right, next question, guys.
Do we want to move on from D2?
You are chomping at the bit
I
to move on to
am.
D2. You.
It's either move on now or one more question.
Yeah, one more. So, do you know, is there any aspect of the story that's coming up that you haven't hit yet that you're just like chomping at the bit to get to? Or is it just,
I
just
just
all of
I-
it. D all the above.
Yeah, kind of, but I just want that final confrontation between myself and Gaul. I want to kick him off the ship. That's what I want to do.
Oh, that's gonna be a fun time. That's gonna be a fun time. Well, here's the thing.
I'd watch that.
I've been thinking about this because I know we discussed it about whether or not I wanted to go on ahead and just stick with all the content, because I was asking on the last run. I said, Steve, when we finish D2, did you want to move on to something else, or do you want to stick with D2? He's like, no, I'm having a great time, man. Let's stick with D2. And I said, okay, well, yes, Munch, feel free to ask the question. So the real question that we had for Steve was, do we go on ahead and play through Curse of Osiris and Warmind? Yes, Curse of Osiris was a little bit of a hiccup. Warmind is fun.
Yeah,
Warmind is fun. But the question is, do we do that, or do we skip ahead to Forsaken? I've thought about it, and I think what we're going to do, Steve, is after you purchase Forsaken, we're just going to spark it, jump ahead, and go and start with Forsaken. Because I think, because one, the storytelling is tighter in Forsaken.
Yeah.
The gameplay is way tighter.
You guys
in
just don't want
Yeah.
another dude hitting on Anna Bray. That's all it is. You guys are so
That too.
competitive.
That too.
Stop revealing our arterial
That too.
motives.
And then we're gonna move on ahead. So we're gonna move on ahead to Forsaken. So I just want to give you that heads up. We're gonna move
It's
on
a
to Forsaken.
roller coaster.
It is. Munch asks, so will Oryx kill Crota?
What?
I'm not sure where that's coming from. I'm not sure if that's a spoiler for the Black Armory, or if that's something coming down the pike, or what.
That's...
But or if he's just messing with us. It is Munch after all. It is Munch.
I think it's the last one.
I think yeah. So
Unless something happened between them, I don't know.
Exactly.
That's a weird father-son relationship.
that very dysfunctional. So
I can see the gears turning.
So here's my final question. Here's my final question for you.
Taking Crota.
Obviously, we know, Steve, that you are that you're digging Destiny. When we get into Forsaken, what is it that what is it you're looking forward to down the road with us? Enjoying this this little journey down this rabbit hole. What are you looking forward to?
I mean, just being able to play with you guys, like that's literally the biggest part of enjoying Destiny for me, because like I said before, I would not be able to enjoy it if I was playing it on my own. But also, I don't remember who it is that does it, but I also want to be able to kick the ass of whoever kills Kate.
Nick, that's a great segue to talk about your son.
What?
About how focused he was in that during
yeah.
Forsaken.
Holy crap. That game launched, and it was not only was I got what I normally get, which was, hey, can you download this while I'm still at school? I don't want to have to wait when I get home. So I get that all the time. I got that for Super Smash Bros. Friday. If Brandon turns his camera a little bit, you can see our lovely wanted poster. Yeah, so Brandon is quite the hunter aficionado. He's quite the Cade 6 fan.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no stopping him. I mean, the second, he's like, nope, this is happening. So in addition to the story mode where you actually have to go get revenge, there's also a way to earn Cade's gun. And Brandon knocked all of that out. Like, he was back in his room. Like,
he was driven.
It took 2.5 hours.
There's normal emo teen hide in my room, and then there's what he was doing.
So here's now this is a legit question for all of us, except for Steve, and this is something I'm looking forward to introducing Steve to.
Brandon O'Neill, get your ass on this podcast.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Murder.
Gambit. We have not introduced Steve to Gambit yet. I think it's going to be a blast when we get Steve into Gambit. Gambit, Steve, just so you know, is this hybrid game of PvP and PvE.
Death Heals Primeval.
Death Heals Primeval.
Oh, I'm gonna suck at that, and it's gonna be glorious.
It's going to be gloriously entertaining.
But the teams are 4 players, so I can
Yeah.
actually do that with you and also
Yeah.
suck.
and that'll be
okay.
fun.
I'll invade.
So, but here's the question.
Yes.
Here's the question for the three of us: do we like playing Gambit solo?
I had to do it a few nights ago because I was going for my weekly.
Yeah.
I'm also going for the breakneck because I need that auto rifle.
Nice, very nice.
It's good when you get good matchmaking.
I would agree.
When your team knows to invade, or to actually bank their moats. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Now here's something I would say. You know what's fun to watch though? I'll tell you what's fun to watch is it's fun to watch the Big Marvinsky. I need a shout out for the Big Marvinsky.
Shout at you when you have a god roll bad omen.
Or better yet, when you watch him play Gambit solo, because he's off comms and he is criticizing everybody, and it's great because he's got that really fast accent, and he's like, "Oh, what the f are you doing, you fucking blueberry? Oh, blueberry, goddamn blueberry!" I mean, he is cussing up a storm. He is dropping f-bombs left and right. It is gloriously entertaining. My face hurts after watching him play Gambit solo.
I think that's just a regular side effect.
That is.
There's a line in one of the Clint Eastwood Dirty Harry movies where he says, "Man's got to know his limitations." And I will play Gambit. I do not expect to win at all. I know very, very plainly if the other team has more than one person with the same clan name, that we're doomed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
When they have 3 or 4, it's like, okay, just kill me now.
Yeah.
But it's the only PvP I'll do. It's really interesting. I don't know that I've gotten a PvP kill, but
yeah,
If you did the
Brandon and
Gambit
I,
step, then it is, I think.
what?
Oh no, they changed it, didn't they?
what's this?
The
You don't need to
Gambit
do
step-
PvP kills for the Ace of Spades
Yeah,
anymore, right?
yeah.
They changed
Anymore.
it, yeah.
No,
It
no,
used to be
yeah,
kill
it used to be
5 invaders.
Five
Hand
invaders.
cannon headshots or whatever. Yeah, it's all. Yeah,
It was
so-
hand cannon kill 5 invaders, and then get hand cannon precision kills on the Crucible,
yeah,
Right.
which was
Yeah.
just tedious.
right.
and yet, and
Have you met the Telesto?
And the weird thing,
No.
but the weird thing is, the precision headshots with a hand cannon. I went in and I was stunned at how quickly I went through that.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
'cause
wow,
it's 25. but
Okay, yeah, but still, I mean, come on, precision hand cannon kills
Yeah.
from me. Come on,
True.
come on.
I went in and got like, while I was playing his Titan, it was like I think 12 the first round, and then it went down to 3 each round after that. It was disgusting.
All right.
I think I got your weekly reward for playing Crucible while I was doing
And you
it.
finished one of my exotics too.
I did.
Yeah. So Nick, get
Oh, yeah, it
comfortable.
was the Crimson.
Sit
Oh, 'cause
back.
we're gonna talk about other games.
No, we're just going to talk about the other game. Boys,
Jeez.
Assassin's Creed, go.
Yeah.
I'm just going to prop my feet up, do some knitting over
Where's my popcorn emote?
Steve, have you finished?
I have not finished it yet. I'm still. I'm taking my time with it only just because.
Sorry, what?
Nerds. I mainly just because like once I realized how much fun I was having with the side quests and the side missions that you get to do.
And this is Assassin's Creed Odyssey you're talking
Yes,
about,
This
correct?
is Assassin's
Right.
Creed Odyssey, yes. I started to really enjoy that, and also when I did find out that there is that one mission, I don't even know actually which mission it is that you level, like you're like a level 24 and you need to jump to a level 32 and you have to basically grind up to that point in order to be able to continue the story. I don't know if I hit that yet,
That's
but
the
I've been
entire game,
basically
dude.
okay. Well, I've been leveling up pretty much the entire time, so I haven't had any particular issue right now. And pretty much whatever the next part of the story, I'm like a level or maybe 2 levels away from being able to actually complete it. But
Oh yeah.
I'm having an absolute blast. Like that game is I think was sorely misrepresented at the Game Awards this past week. I think
Exactly my point. And
I think that game, as well as Spider-Man, should have definitely won awards.
Wow.
I was happy for Red Dead Redemption 2 to win a basic sweep, and then also God of War winning Game of the Year because I really do love God of War a lot. Boy.
Dude, did you see them present?
No, what was it?
Yes, I did.
I did.
Read it, boy.
The two actors who are from God of
Christopher
War.
Judge was there?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, and then the kid too also, and so like he goes, and the winner is, and everybody gets silent, and then he goes, "Read it, boy."
'Cause the way they set it up, because the kid has the envelope, and he's like, "And winner do," and then it's like everyone thinks, does a kid know to open the envelope? Like, what's going on? And then like Christopher Judge kind of like does this exasperated face. Read it, boy. And
That's
then everyone in the audience goes,
Oh, I
nuts.
bet that was insane. That was a mic drop moment
that
right
was
there.
fantastic.
so
yeah.
fun.
I did want to ask both you guys about that though. It's funny you bring that up because there is a little bit of chit chat online about how people felt like Spider-Man got shafted
Oh yeah.
because and
It
I've
totally
heard
did.
everybody. I mean, I've heard people talk highly of God of War, but people were losing their minds over the Spider-Man game. So I wanted to start with Brandon and with Steve. What were your opinions on what happened there? I mean, when you compare God of War, which Pip is currently playing on Philippa's Freaky Friday, good night, Munch, versus Spider-Man. I mean, would you compare the two games together? Where I mean, what was it fair or what happened there? What do you guys think?
So to me, I have accumulated watch time of God of War of about 20 seconds. So I know nothing about the game other
wow.
than Boy.
Boy.
Because that's his name. And then I spent 2 days trying to finish Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a gap there.
Spider-Man's
So-
really
so-
Spider-Man's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you're a little biased, you would say.
A little bit, but I also felt like it's the same thing with me for Red Dead 2, because I've seen 20 minutes probably at most gameplay of that, and it looks fantastic, but I feel like other games should have won awards.
Yeah.
No, what about
For me,
you, Steve?
For me, it was I've played both. I've completed both, and I think God of War is an absolute masterpiece. It is an amazing piece of storytelling and narrative. I love it mostly just for that, and the fact it's like there's certain things about it that just are really fun. Like there's nothing cooler, and even like from minute 1 to the last hour of the game, when like when you get to return that axe to your hand, nothing feels or looks cooler and better than being able to have that axe.
Cool.
It's so I really like it. However, Spider-Man for me was the first game that I actually was able to platinum 100%. I've never been able to do that
Wow.
before on any game.
Well
And
done, man.
it-
well done.
It was, and not only what I loved about that was that it was kind of like I said, like an accidentally accessible game. It's short, but in order to be able to collect like the trophies and all of the kind of extra stuff that's in the game, they're totally achievable by anybody. You don't need to have a special master skill level in any particular area in order to be able to complete the mission or complete a trophy. Like even the ones that are skill-based trophies, you only need to get like, because they have like a point level of like bronze, silver, and gold. You only need to get at least silver and above in order to be able to complete that trophy. So for me, Spider-Man was just a game that I had fun with from playing from beginning to end. Whereas God of War, let's put it this way. God of War was like watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's an amazing series of movies to watch. You feel like you're really invested in it. And Spider-Man is like watching like The Dark Knight. It's fun to watch and it's enjoyable. But there's two amazing games to play. But I felt that Spider-Man was definitely should have at least won. It should have won for Best Actor with Yuri Lowenthal. I think it should have won maybe Best either Best Score or Best Art Direction. Like I think there should have been at least something, but the fact that Red Dead Redemption 2 swept the entire awards and then God of War wins the kind of the last two with directing and with Game of the Year, I'm happy for both those games. They're great, but I felt like Spider-Man and Assassin's Creed Odyssey were like two that should have at least won something, and I was disappointed that nothing really kind of came about with those two.
So both you guys are digging Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but here's my hardball question. How do you rank it amongst the other Assassin's Creed games? I've been hearing like there's some Assassin's Creeds that are hit and miss.
Rogue.
Yeah.
Unity.
And then there's the movie. Let's not even talk about the movie.
God, no.
Movie doesn't count.
With one exception, which is that the dude actually did the 110-foot
Yeah.
leap of faith. So
Leap of
kudos
faith.
to the stunt
so
guy.
kudos to that. Kudos to that.
Right.
But how would you rank it?
I would definitely high up. This is why. This is the first Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
It is the first Assassin's
It
Creed.
is the very
Odyssey.
first
this is
Assassin's
the
Creed
first
Odyssey. You're right in
Assassin's
that.
Creed. This is the first Assassin's Creed that is full 100% RPG.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because dialogue choices, leveling, everything about the gear system, everything about the ability system, and the ship too. Like everything's different about it, and it adds so much to invest into. As Origins didn't have dialogue, Origins didn't have the ships. Like it's just a step up from Origins, making it improve on.
And one more
everything.
thing that they did that they didn't have to at all was essentially from a content creation perspective, you can run the entire game as one of two different protagonists. So they had to record all of that. They had to do all the all of
Let me
the
say-
animation and everything else.
Both of the character actors
Uh-huh.
are phenomenal.
Of course.
Oh, they totally are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, you can choose Alexios or Cassandra, and Cassandra is the canon one actually, but it's fine.
Now, what about you? What about you, Steve? Where would you rank Assassin's Creed Odyssey with some of the others?
Above the movie.
See, I have a tiny bit of a bias, only just because I love Ubisoft, and the fact that I recently consulted with them.
Which we're going to talk about in just a second.
Yeah, that bias actually kind of deepened. I would say Assassin's Creed Odyssey is probably, it's definitely high up there. I would say it's either the favorite game of mine from the AC series, or at least the second favorite next to Origins. Only because Assassin's Creed is actually used to be my example of games that I'm just not able to play. Because the gameplay system is just hard for me to be able to actually get into. I've tried probably every single Assassin's Creed game. I think the only two I didn't try was Rogue and Syndicate, and mainly because I'd given up on playing them all together. I figured, okay, this game is just not made for me. It's not accessible for my own way of playing a game, and I just kind of given up. But then when I had heard that Origins had changed the system, and not only just like the fact that it was a little bit more RPG like, but also just the fighting style, and the fact that you could actually have a difficulty setting and set it from easy, medium, and hard, which previous games in the franchise didn't.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Origins was the very first Assassin's Creed game I was actually able to complete from beginning to end. So those two games, Odyssey and Origins, are probably like my absolute favorite games.
Big time improvements from an accessibility standpoint, right?
100%.
And since we're talking about accessibility and we're talking about Ubisoft,
Before you even move to that, let me just say that I've discovered a parallel, which is that the Warlock glide jump is a lot like ziplining off the pyramids in Assassin's Creed.
It
It's
is.
the same sort of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Explains so much. I'm learning so much about you,
Another
Steve.
thing from the accessibility standpoint, Odyssey added this thing called guided mode, where you have two different ways to play, and you're given hints of where your objective is.
Oh yeah,
and you
yeah,
have
yeah.
to
I've seen
find
that.
it with Icarus, your eagle, or you can.
Wait, isn't he the guy who consults Gaul? No, that's different.
No,
that's
sorry.
Iago.
Sorry.
Iago. Not to be confused with Thanos
Or Sicario.
or Sicario of Osiris.
Or Natasha Leggero, the stand-up comedian.
Of Osiris.
God. And then there's the alternate version where you can just have your objective shown to you.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
So real quick before we get to the Ubisoft part, I was curious though about how do you feel about Destiny's accessibility? I don't feel like I see you struggling much, except for when I'm trying to say go to left, and then I realize wait, I'm watching the stream and I can't see your and
Yeah.
there's that delay. But I mean, how do you feel
need
about the
screen sharing.
yeah, we do. What exactly? How do you feel about the accessibility of Destiny? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? You know, if you were to give it a letter grade, what would you give it?
I would say I'd probably give it probably a B-
Not too
regards to
bad.
accessibility.
Not too bad.
It's enough for me to be able to, at least because I played enough like FPSs to understand the basics of it, and I know I'm not super great at it, but it's at least enough of a system that I recognize and I can actually be able to play. Obviously the fact that it's that's from Bungie, and Halo was kind of like the first real FPS that I actually was able to play and complete. I totally get that aspect. What really sucks, and this is not just Destiny, this is kind of like across the board in a lot of games, is that the text is just way too damn small. There are many times I'm having to basically like get up and actually lean closer to the screen in order to be able to read. That's why probably for me, lore is something that I'm just not into, because there's a lot of reading with
Yes,
lore.
there is.
And I
Yes,
love
there is.
reading, and I love being able to like know the story of the lore, but I just don't I don't have the stamina to basically like stand up on my chair in order to be able to read it all and then have to get back down again and then have to go back up and get
Fair
back.
enough.
It's so, and again, Destiny's not the only one. Like Witcher 3 is probably like the worst I've seen in just
that's
text
pretty
size. Red Dead Redemption 2 is also pretty bad at it, and the fact that everything is just in the far corners of the screen. But with regards to Destiny, I think There could be improvements, but it's enough for me to still be able to kind of like get around the system. And as long as I kind of I can sort of recognize words and the shape of the word, that I'm able to be like, okay, no, this is where I need to go to be able to update my character or update my choose which weapon. Like I can adapt to the system that it has in place.
Sure.
The full title of the game is actually Red Dead Redemption 2-point font.
I like that. Yeah, that's about right.
So let's talk. So now let's talk a little bit about what happened recently with you and Ubisoft. I find this absolutely amazing, and I think this is extremely cool. So going ahead, you were recently hired by them to do some consulting concerning accessibility in video games. Tell us something about, or can you tell us anything about that?
So I can't mention on what projects that I got to work on, which believe me, like I still want to, but that dang
it doesn't have to do with anything that rhymes with Humblassen's bleed. It's nothing like that or anything. It doesn't have to rhyme with that, does it?
It was fun. Well, no, it was funny. Like when I get like the story I like to tell is that when we got there, the developers the teams we were talking to were a little bit kind of like they weren't sure whether or not like what to tell us. And then when the guy who was basically like heading up this whole workshop, he's like, "Oh yeah, no, they signed the NDA, they're fine." Then like, "Oh well, okay then," and then they just start telling me almost everything. So that was great. But yeah, so I actually in October of last year, I actually was invited to be on a panel at the Game UX Summit, which is run by a lot of AAA developers, kind of every year around the world, and the idea is that developers actually kind of put on different UX summits in different cities. So this year it was in Vancouver at EA's headquarters, or at least EA was running it, and they bring in developers from across the world to basically talk about UX and UI, and accessibility is also kind of a big part of that. And last year they actually held it in Toronto, and for those who don't know, that Ubisoft does have an office in Toronto. And a representative from the PR office at Ubisoft, they saw some of my videos, and they were like, "We would love to be able to have you come in to talk about accessibility." And I got to be on a panel with a few people. Like I got to talk with someone from Microsoft, who was running the accessibility side, who was a big part of bringing the adaptive controller to life. I got to talk to someone who worked at Naughty Dog, who worked on the accessibility for Last of Us and Uncharted 4, and she's working on Last of Us 2 right now. Yeah,
dude,
so
what an amazing
and the
experience.
fact that I was and the fact that I was the only gamer that was a panelist in this whole entire summit was really cool to me. And so being able to share my experience to a room full of developers, including I can't remember his last name, but I know his name is Dave. He does work at Bungie. He was the UI designer for Destiny 1 and Destiny 2.
Wow.
Yeah, he did it. He actually, there is a talk. I think they put them all up on YouTube. There is a talk of him talking about his experiences, like for working at Bungie. Like he actually worked on the UI from Halo. Like he goes that far back.
Wow. I will work on getting him on the show.
yeah, he's a great guy. And so because of that, I had established a relationship, and then I went in earlier this year to do a play test for a game that, again, I'm not even allowed to say, even though it's already out. Still can't say it. But it wasn't for accessibility. It was just like they do like these regular play tests where essentially you go into a room, you play a game for 3 days, and you get to talk about what you thought of it and kind of like what could they do to improve. And I met with one of the guys who has been wanting to do work with accessibility within Ubisoft, and he was like, yeah, I want to kind of do this workshop where I want to bring in you and a few others to basically talk to our teams to be able to develop accessibility tools early on in the development process for a lot of their games. So it took the course of about all of this year to be able to set that up. And then in November, myself, along with 3 other accessibility advocates, 2 were in regards to mobility, Josh Straub from Dagger Systems. There was Cherry Ray Thompson, who she is an accessibility consultant for mobility and cognitive. And then there was also Chris, who was the deaf gamer, and myself as sort of the blind gamer. I was representing that side, and we got to go to the Montreal office, which is where they made the Assassin's Creed Origins, and that was kind of like the most recent big game that they've worked on. And I got to. They did do Watch Dogs 2, yes. Thank you. So they basically had us play a lot of their games in their franchises just so that we can have sort of like present our barriers into what the issues we kind of had accessibility wise in playing their games. And we presented them to teams that they had from different projects, and they would offer their solutions as what to talk about, like what they can build into accessibility. And then we would chat together as far as being able to suggest different ideas of what they can start early on, because what we realized is that the earlier on you're able to build accessibility within games, the lot easier it is to be able to adapt and to adjust later on in the development process than if you brought it in later on. And so I got to because their mandate for Ubisoft is they want to make sure that their games are as accessible as they can by 2020. So this was their first. This was their first kind of big push into that. And I don't know if other developers have done that. This is my first official accessibility consulting gig, but the other three that were there have done it before. And they said they have worked with developers, but they have said that there's not a developer other than Ubisoft that has been able to go this far deep into this early of the process. So being able to talk, oh my God, it's like being able to talk to those teams and just gush over their work that they've been able to create was an absolute amazing experience.
That's very cool. That is very, very cool. All right, so we got to go on ahead and wrap things up. This has been this is going to go long. I don't care. We've had a great time with Steve. It's what we do, and I knew this was going to go long because I've been friends with Steve for a long time, so I know how you put the two of us in a room. We don't
I've been
shut
friends
up.
with him for like
2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 months.
more than that.
So here's the thing. I said, chat, that it will be a while before Steve and I can enjoy a fine scotch together. So we got this event coming up called MagFest. Guess who's road tripping down from Toronto to join us for MagFest? That's right. We're getting the band back together, and hopefully, we put in for the application to do
a bunch of stuff.
Including a live happy hour from the tower. But if we don't, screw it. We'll come back to the studio ourselves, get around the mics, and we'll do a happy hour from the tower live again with all four of us, and maybe even try to get Coach in on this action as well. That would be a fun, long ass show and long ass stream. But it'd be worth it. But yes.
Stream.
But Steve is coming to. That's the thing, chat. Steve will be joining the happy hour from the Tower Fire team at MagFest, which is held
And maybe sometime in Gambit.
At the Gaylord National Harbor, just outside of D.C. on the Maryland side.
And
it's January 3rd through 6th.
January 3rd through 6th.
2019 already, kids.
Yep.
Don't blink.
Don't blink. Don't be like me when I'm playing the game. Don't blink. So in closing, Steve, apart from MagFest, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we sign off tonight?
Well, if you are following this, when does this episode go out?
This is going out this week.
Okay. So if it's out before Thursday, on Thursday, December 13th, I actually putting out a video where I get to show a little bit of Montreal. I can't show a lot of the Ubisoft offices, but it will be kind of chronicling my experience at Ubisoft.
Oh, sweet.
But it's also my birthday on that day.
Yay,
and
nice.
I was able to talk to Ubisoft, and I'm going to be giving away some season passes to Assassin's Creed Odyssey if you watch that video.
Oh, and where?
Including a grand prize of, if you have never played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I will be able to give a copy of the game.
Wow.
No matter what system you play it on.
Man.
So the question is, where can people see this video?
You can go to youtube.com/snowball.
Let me say this, just to plug his YouTube channel. Not only is there a video of Steve doing VR for the first time,
Yep.
there's a video of Steve driving a car,
Yeah.
which is freaking awesome.
I was going to try, for his drop-in, I was going to try to find this great clip from the movie If You Could See What I Hear, where the cops pull over Tom Sullivan, who is blind, and they go, and they're talking to his buddy Sly, and they go, "Your friend is blind?" And the guy's like, and they're all drunk, they're all hammered. And like, more or less, yeah. They go, what the hell was he driving? because he's the only one who's sober.
There it is.
And so yeah, unfortunately I couldn't find that, but yes, there is a clip where you see Steve driving.
We'll reenact it at MagFest.
And it's we'll reenact it in MagFest. We'll take it to downtown DC. What's the worst that could happen? Brandon,
He's driving us there.
did you want to take us out with the
shoot.
the Creative Commons license, or should I pad a little longer?
Just a little longer, a little
longer. So, chat, thank you all very much for joining us. Steve, thank you for joining us. Apart from YouTube.com/Snowball, where else can people find you online?
You can pretty much find me at Steve Saylor on Twitter and Instagram, and twitch.tv/blindgamersteve.
There you go. You can find us gaming together every Tuesday night. When our schedules mesh, but every Tuesday night starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's The Blind Leads the Blind, and it's part of my Titan Tuesday. I provide Titan backup for his blind warlock. And then there's Brandon, who shows up, and we actually complete the set. Brandon shows up when his schedule allows, and he's the hunter. So it's all good fun.
Yeah.
In fact, just to give you a quick rundown, I'm running the missile.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, I'm running the Missile Titan. You're running which one? Are you running Blade
I
Barrage?
switch between all of them.
Yeah.
Usually it's the new versions of the supers.
And our buddy Steve here just discovered Phoenix
Void.
Dive. He just
Oh, that
discovered
too, yeah.
Phoenix Dive and Voidwalker. So he's kind of torn. He kind of digs the whole Voidwalker thing, but he really does dig that Phoenix Dive. He loves
does.
that. He loves that.
Yeah, nothing feels better than being able to slide jump and then just start
Straight down.
straight down. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As for us, you can find us at HHFTT Podcast on Twitter.
Oh, first try.
Thank you. Yeah, no, first try. What do you think? You can also find us at HHFTT Podcast on Facebook as well. You can find all of us on Instagram under our various gamer tags. You can also find
Don't
find
follow
us at
me. I post really weird stuff.
you can also drop us an email at podcast@happyhourfromthetower.com. And you can also
You can spam our voicemail.
You can spam our
Please
voicemail.
feel free to.
Please do at 703-791-1701. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for this live episode of Happy Hour from the Tower. Always a pleasure. Brandon, what can you tell people about this podcast?
Happy Hour from the Tower is protected by a non-commercial, no derivative, share-like United States 3.0 license. You can find out more about that at creativecommons.org.
Nice.
So close.
Nice.
So close, so close. We'll get you off book one day.
Yeah.
So on behalf of Steve, the blind gamer, on behalf of Nick, on behalf of Brandon, eyes up, Guardian, time to give up the ghost. The first round's on us. All right, we're clear.
Steve is you know how you could tell Steve's actually from Toronto.
How?
Oh. Yeah, he doesn't pronounce the second T.
Doesn't pronounce the second T. That's how you know someone's actually from Toronto.
Oh, not Toronto,
Yep,
but
no.
Toronto.
That's right. I learned that from my
Toronto.
friend Kat. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you know.
Yep,
You're
that's,
not from Quebec. You're from Quebec.
Quebec.
Quebec, yeah.
Quebec. Quebec.
I mean, technically, if you want to get even specific, I shouldn't have called it Montreal. I should,
Montreal.
or no, Montreal.
Oh.
It's the French way to say it.
Well, it's always the.
But I also failed grade 9 French, so
I almost did.
No, only one of you is allowed to fail grade 9 French, young man.
Yeah.
Here's the thing too. It's like actually States, I assume not. They have this French immersion where if you decide to go for it after grade 9, you can actually start grade 10 in a completely French school where everybody talks in French, and you actually you're just thrown into the deep end, and you have to talk French back. So
No bueno.
Yeah, no bueno for me either.
Yeah, they have in New Zealand. They have it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had as a parent. It was Serena's first trip to New Zealand. She's 6, and she was in her. Anytime she saw a playground, she's like, I want to stop at the playground. So we saw a playground, and Pip was like, well, I'll go on ahead and I'll take care of something at the tourist board, find out where we're going. We'll have Serena chill at the playground. She's chilling at the playground. And I'm sitting there just keeping an eye on her, giving her space. Suddenly, good night, Marv. Big Marvinsky was just.
See, Marv?
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm kicking back. Bus pulls up. Little small bus pulls up. These kids come running out, and it's white kids and it's Maori kids. They're all speaking Maori, each and every one of them, and they're running around. and they stop and they see Serena, and they speak to her in Maori, and Serena freezes, and then the girl says something, and Serena goes, "Yeah," and runs off with them. And I come back.
Haven't seen her since.
Right, exactly. And she comes back, and I go, "Serena, did you understand what they were saying?" "No."
Nope.
"But you knew they wanted you to play." "Oh yeah." And I'm like, "God love you, girl." And it was a cool. And Pip proceeded to tell me that the Maori language was dying out, and then there was this movement in like the 80s to bring it back, and they set up all these immersion schools, and that's what it was basically, and it was open not just to Maori kids, but to Maori and white
It's the
kids.
same thing with Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hawaii has,
apparently,
like 11 letters though.
Yeah, but they were like forbidden to speak the language. Like
Oh,
for a
wow.
long time, they were down to like just the grandparents.
The village
generation.
elders.
Yeah, the
Yes,
village elders.
elders.
the
The village elder scrolls
Yeah, and
6.
of Osiris.
of Osiris.
And the thing is that in New Zealand, you go around and you actually see they've got it's a bit like Germany.
Second breakfast.
They've got two.
Third lunch.
You go up to the plaque, and it's written in 2 languages. It's written in English and Maori, and it's a gorgeous language. I'm kind of pissed about Duolingo on that. You can learn Klingon, you can learn Tigarian,
but not Maori.
but Maori isn't up there. Oh, and you can learn Gaelic, but you can't learn Maori.
It's
I'm
a numbers
like, what's
game,
up
man.
with that?
More people want to learn Klingon.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
Bigger market for it.
Probably. Chat. Did anybody have any closing questions or curiosities to share with Steve? If
I
not,
Which scotch should we stock up on there, young man, young Steve?
Ooh. You know what?
actually,
Surprise me.
hang on. No, I got it. Wait,
okay.
Wait 1 second.
I'm more of a bourbon guy, but we did have an 18-year-old Jameson limited
Ooh.
reserve last night as
That's
one of
older
our
than me.
tastings. Yes, it is older than you.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
And smoother too.
Oh, that's
I might
awesome.
have to wait. I brought this back from duty free in Germany. We might have to make
I like all my drinks duty free.
we might have to make this our Magfest drink.
Oh, hell's yes.
This is from Highland Park. It's called Highland Park Voyage of the Raven, and it is a 12 to 14-year-old single malt. And
It killed Edgar Allan Poe.
yeah, pretty much. But it looks dark, delicious, and deadly.
That's you guys won't judge me if I have it on the rocks.
No.
right?
That's the
Okay,
thing about
good,
Highland
good.
Park. Because so
we don't
there's a
judge anybody about how they drink.
new, just as long as you drink. But so there's this couple, delightful couple, but they're like super Scotch snobs. They only drink it neat, right? They only drink it neat. If you want to follow one of these two, her name is Knit Freak Cosplay on Instagram, and her name's Carrie, and they were like, you never cut it, that just ruins it, blah 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 blah. I said, okay, well, I'm going to challenge you, and I brought in some Highland Park 12. They were extremely skeptical, so I put the Highland Park. They had it. It was really nice. I said, okay, now I'm going to cut it on ice. Hand it to her, and both of them were like, holy cow, that's still good, but it's entirely different. I said,
Opened
okay.
it right up. Yep.
Then I was like, okay, now we're just going to cut it with water. They take another sip. That's entirely different too. They cannot rave harder about Highland Park. And this supplanted. Pip brought me my first Highland Park, and this has supplanted the Balvenie Doublewood as my favorite Scotch. That's the one I introduced you to, Steve.
Yes, I was
Balvenie.
about to say. Yeah.
Well, this guy over here.
Didn't we record the Scotch cast?
Yes, we did.
That same night.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And Nick, but now here's the thing. We'll definitely save some for us here, but during the weekend, Nick's going to introduce you to some. This is the bourbon guy over here.
Yes.
My only bourbon was which one was it? It's the one that's served at the Kentucky Derby.
Woodford Reserve.
Thank you, the Woodford Reserve. I love Woodford, but Nick has introduced me to
Manischewitz.
yes, but there's been some really nice bourbons you've
I'll take
introduced
care
me.
of you. Don't
I
you
know
worry
you
about
will.
it.
I know you.
I'm here
All
for
right.
you.
So, Chad,
can't
thank you very
wait.
much. We're gonna sign off at this point. And we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you very much for the tips and the bits and the subs and the hosts, the auto hosts. Remember, everything you guys do to stop
It's being
in
recorded by the government.
is being recorded by the government. That's part of my job. And it's what I do. So thanks everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you so much for all the support. We appreciate it, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. We might even see you next week, depending on how deeply I can get into the Black Armory. We'll talk to you later. Take care. Until next time, peace.